The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, says that young people have raised their voices and the government has heard them loudly. The Speaker said this at a town hall meeting with youth groups and organizations on the planned nationwide protest in Abuja. Abbas said the federal government is listening and understands the challenges faced by Nigerians. The government is also committed to transforming Nigeria into a country that works for young people, he added. The lawmakers asked young people to be patient with the government.
Recent statistics show a decline in violent crime rates in several regions, indicating that these measures are beginning to yield positive results. Data from the House also shows that improving national security emerged as the second highest priority, with many motions dedicated to security. Again, your voice matters and we are listening.
Dangote protested peacefully, right? Did he get the results? Yes. So if we protect peacefully, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu has also always expressed his love for peaceful protest. He was a chief protester at some point, true or false? Yes, but now, right, they also have credible intelligence to show that some people will turn the good things the youths want to do, which is constitutional. They want to turn it into something totally different, right? Some people want to riot, some people want to loot, and we've seen that happen before. Now, even the president we are talking about, nobody has even for one day remembered that he's been a victim of riots.
Well, for more on this, I'm joined in the studio by the member of the House of Representatives for the Federal Constituency of Ikuano, Umuahia, under the Labour Party, Honorable Obi Aguocha. Honorable, wonderful to have you here today.
Thank you, Doctor. I'm happy to be back again on this show.
Right. It's been a whirlwind of 2 weeks talking about the same topic. And much of the noise is being driven by the government. And it's easy to say uneasy lies the head that wears the crown, isn't it?
It is. Well, first of all, again, thank you so much for inviting me again. I listened to my speaker. I was actually in the chamber alongside other members of the House of Representatives in receiving an array of youth groups for discussions with the House of Representatives. I was, impressed with the organization. The government side had several ministers, amongst whom are the Minister of Trade and Investment, Minister of Youth, I believe Minister of State Education, Minister of State Health, and of course the leadership of the House of Representatives were all there. We had fruitful discussions with them, but there's no gainsaying. The youth, Nigerians are very angry. They are angry that they continue to live lives of hopelessness and not enough opportunity. They're angry. Nigerians are very hungry. They are very insecure. Unemployment is very high. High crimes and criminality, banditry, assassinations, and kidnapping very rampant. So these are not very good times for people to say proudly that we are Nigerians, because we are suffering. And, the government is being a bit reactionary. The meeting we had with the youth, they could have held a long time ago, but, it's better also that it's held now than never.
So when you say we are suffering, you understand that people on the outside will say that you are part of them because you are a member of the House of Reps, so you are so-called people in authority.
Yeah.
And then I hope you also understand that people will feel that this entire meeting today with young people is sort of choreographed. Why now?
Well, I just said that to you, that in my opinion, the meeting should have held a long time ago to call the youth, who are major stakeholders in this country, to say, what are you people thinking about this? about the economy? What are you people thinking about the state of the nation? But like I said, it was better to have called it today than never to at least to hear from them. But the reactions that I got from them, the observations I made, are that the youths are hungry. They are also angry. And they're also displeased with the state of the economy. They're also displeased, like I said, with the state of insecurity in the country. A lot of people, like I also said, are living lives of hopelessness and not enough or insufficient opportunities. Now, what is the government to do to be able to uplift not just the youth, but to uplift the generality of Nigerians, most of them in the rural areas, who themselves cannot feed anymore? Not there is no food, but the money they have are chasing fewer food because of inflation and the pressure that is being put.
Can you tell us the mood in the House of Representatives and the National Assembly as a whole? Do lawmakers actually understand what we're dealing with in Nigeria today?
Of course they do. Of course they do. Though the mood in the National Assembly is quite sober. The reality being that within the next 12 hours, we don't know to the extent the protest will go. I believe that every Nigerian has a fundamental right to protest, as enshrined in Section 40 of the Constitution as amended. So they have a right to protest. Now, but in that exercising their right means that both sides, even the government and the organizers of the protest, should not allow the protest to descend unnecessarily to violence. The organizers should be circumspect in the ways that we go about it. There are a lot of ways you can protest without resorting to violence. If you destroy properties, or if you kill lives and all this stuff. So the government also should remain constrained in their use of force to counterweight the protest. But if we go and allow the protest to go in the essence that the protest is being called upon, which is Nigerians are unhappy about hunger, Nigerians are unhappy about insecurity, Nigerians are happy about our children being able to go to school and come back and not having any work. Nigerians are unhappy with the high food cost. Nigerians are unhappy that they are not able to feed themselves. And the government must listen to all these issues that are driving all these agitations and be able to look into it, not just from a palliative perspective, but to look at those issues and then come up with workable solutions on how to make Nigeria to work for Nigerians again.
It's one thing to say that all of you there, or generally, are sober. One can be sober temporarily because of the heat that is being piled on or pressure on the government. But what happens after that is what is more important. Where do you see any changes, happening?
Well, it starts from tomorrow. It starts from tomorrow. The government is saying that they have made some assurances. They have put certain things in place. But those things or assurances they have put in place are assurances that have come too late. This thing should have started, well, in the case of this present administration, from day one. So what you see is accumulation of bad governance, successive governments over time, not caring about the welfare and well-being of the Nigerian people. So, it has now bottled up where people are just disgruntled. And they're going to exercise their fundamental right tomorrow. Now, how would the government handle the dialogue going forward to calm these people down who are very angry? And then how would they also begin to put in place policies and programs that will help to mitigate some of the issues that have been talked about by Nigerians who are intending to protest? So
what did you achieve today with that meeting? If it wasn't
well,
just a routine, let's try and discourage them from going to the streets.
No, nobody discouraged them from going to the street.
So what
was achieved today is the House of Representatives is saying, we want to hear you, and we've heard you. This is what the government is intending to do. Please be patient.
patient.
Well, that's
Nigerians have been hearing
that's
that
what
word,
I'm saying.
patience.
So please be patient. We will get it right. Allow us to do this. I am not one of those that says be patient. We've had a long years of being patient, of inefficiency of government. So let Nigerians come out and exercise their fundamental rights. But like I said, there are a lot of ways we can go about protesting. One, by not destroying properties of Nigerians, who themselves are also feeling the pinch of what the agitators are themselves going through. Then the government also should show restraint to ensure that the military or the paramilitary agencies who will be there to protect the protesters are themselves not hijacking the protest and everything descends to violence. If it descends to violence, we will lose the essence of the protest.
Right.
So I want the protest to be all about, well, we're angry that, like I said, Nigerians are hungry. We are insecurity. We are not secured. So, and I want this for government to use this as an opportunity to really sit back and listen to people and begin to douse agitations. There are so many agitations in the country.
So you have met the president one-on-one, I suppose. So you know him a little bit. You're a politician like him. Can you tell us what you think would be his current state of mind given all the brouhaha that is going on?
Honestly, I wouldn't know his state of mind, but I'm sure he's concerned about what the issues are. No president would like to see his country go on massive nationwide protest. I'm sure he's thinking about it. I'm sure he's also concerned. Will this thing go the way it's supposed to be, which is to be peaceful, or whether it will be hijacked by miscreants, or whether it will be hijacked by excessive force of the military? So I think those things are probably playing in his head and weighing him down. But at the same time, he should also see it as a great opportunity to now hear from Nigerians directly, and then to sit back where he can rejig his administration, where he can bring competence to begin to squarely address the issues of inefficiency in the Nigerian state. Then this is an opportunity for him to reset and move the country forward.
You use the word competence. It's a word that is hardly used in government circles because a lot of Nigerians think that what we've seen in the last 1 year or over 1 year hasn't been a lot of competency. In terms of the kind of cabinet that the president put together, in terms of there are actions that have, maybe impacted positively, but not sufficient. So there's no competency that people are seeing. What is your reflection or thought on that?
Well, in terms of the competence, well, the results bear itself out. Again, people are still hungry. People are unable to find jobs. Nigeria is still insecure. Today, our debt ratio is almost is so high that for every one naira we have in terms of income, about 95% or 95 kobo goes to service the debt. So Nigerians are still, weighed down by the burden of inefficiency and incompetence. So it is, like I said, it depends on how the president wants to look at it. If he looks at it from a brighter side, this is an opportunity for him to sit back, reevaluate his administration going forward, and to know now where he can go and rejig most of the policies and programs that have yet to work, and put more emphasis on it, get more capable people to assist him to do the work. All Nigerians want is the output. What is the output? I want to be able to go to school and graduate from school and have employment opportunities. As a parent, I want to be able to send my children to school and be able to pay. I want to be able to work and not be owed. I want to retire and know that my pension is going to be there. I want to go to the Southeast where we have high crimes and criminality and banditry and assassination and know that I will be safe at my home, that I will not be kidnapped. So it is the responsibility. After all, the fundamental job of Mr. President is the protection of lives and properties.
Yeah, there are many ministers and government officials that have spoken to Nigerians over the last 1.5 weeks. some feel that the president should have, spoken to Nigerians directly. What's your view on that? He hasn't, and it doesn't look like he would do that before the protest tomorrow.
I would still wish that he would do that, to address Nigerians directly, rather than using the ministers. Like I said earlier on, the actions of the government appear to be reactionary. Where we are here now, the vase has been broken, so we need to put it together. Then the confidence of the people, the president have to earn the confidence of the people for this to have, a viable closure, the protest and everything. So if I were the president, I will address the nation tomorrow and say, I've heard you. I feel your pain. These are what I'm going to do in the short term to ensure that we have food security, to ensure that we have security, to ensure that almost every single thing that is being listed as the issues, as being raised by the organizers, that, we are addressing them right now, and these are the efforts that we have made. So he needs to step in and be able to do that.
The general perception is that you sitting here, you're part of the problem. The entire National Assembly, they are part of the problem. Part of the demands that we have seen is that we need to rejig the entire legislature, maybe scrap one house, leave one house, or maybe everyone goes on part-time or something, do something different, instead of the
Nigerian people have the fundamental rights as well to demand all this through a process, which is a constitutional process, constitutional amendment process. It's not just to talk about and then to dismantle the structure of the government of Nigeria. Nobody's talking about that. But what is important is that the Nigerian people are now telling us that we should listen to them. They're not happy with the way maybe the National Assembly is functioning. They're not happy with the way the states are functioning, or the local governments are functioning, or the presidency. We've heard them. Now it is up to us, as not just National Assembly, but those in government, to reassure the Nigerian people that we've heard them and that we are committed to putting the enablements in place to ensure that we don't get to this point again.
You sound very reasonable, and you seem to be on the part of the people. But tell us, what bills have you sponsored since you came into office that will help to improve the lives of Nigerians?
Well, absolutely. Thank you for me as a legislator. Today I have 17 bills to myself and 3 bills that I have co-sponsored, one of which is the Southeast Development Commission.
Okay, the one that was just
signed into by the president. The Southeast Development Commission is a bill that we all are very proud of, in the sense that for the last 54 years, most of the promises or assurances that were made immediately after the war, especially to the Southeast, we now have an opportunity to be able to get this done in terms of reconstruction and rehabilitation. The three R's, reconstruction, rehabilitation, and reconciliation. We're waiting, earnestly waiting for the reconciliation aspect of it. Because it would have appeared over time that in the Southeast, that we have been excluded when you come to justice and injustice. That we've been excluded, where in the Southeast it would appear there are 2 sets of rules, one for every other Nigerian and one for the Igbo man. So what the president has done, I give him credit for that, is to say, okay, now Southeast, you will have an opportunity for reconstruction and rehabilitation of your dilapidated infrastructure.
Is that not just another commission, though? There's so many commissions in Nigeria.
He has not worked yet.
Right.
So we will have to wait in the 2025 budget to see the commitment of Mr. President.
That's when
and the allocation,
begin.
yes,
right.
To see the allocations that he will make for the Southeast through the commission. But it's also an opportunity for all the states now to come together, regardless of without prejudice to their individual efforts in their respective states, that we can now come together in the Southeast to say, well, we can have this set of infrastructure to rebuild our failed schools, our hospitals, our environment, our ecological, Southeast has been, we have serious challenges of our ecological issues. So with this now, if we get it right through the Southeast Development Commission, what will now happen? You see a lot of our youth will be gainfully employed in the commission. Most of them will be contractors. You will see a reduction in high crimes and criminality.
Well, how many people can you employ in a commission?
No. It's not just the employment of the commission,
right,
but the indirect employment that comes with that, and the opportunity for peace.
Right.
So the reconciliation that is missing is the release of my brother, my constituent, Mazen Nnamdi Kanu.
Okay.
If once we get that done, then we believe that the 3 hours that has been promised to the Southeast, reconciliation, rehabilitation, reconstruction, and reconciliation, have all been put together.
The government had a press conference today, World Press Conference today, and the Secretary to the Federal Government, George Akume, talked about why, using your word patient again, Nigerians should be patient, why youth should calm down. But he also made reference to the NSAS protest. And what he said was that he alluded that the NSAS protest was a waste of time, that it yielded nothing. Do you think he's gravely mistaken?
No, well, they may think that it was a waste of time. And the reason they think it was a waste of time was because the essence of NSAS was defeated when the protest descended into violence, which is what I'm talking about in this current one, that Nigerians have a fundamental right to protest. They have a fundamental right to make their views known. The government also should be listening and attentive to the views and putting things in place to ensure that they are going to assure Nigerians that things are going to be better. But at the same time, both the organizers and the government must have to show circumspection, and at the same time, the government especially should show constraint by the use of force, so that the essence of the protest will be meaningful to all Nigerians and will be, we'll remember it as the change protest.
Right.
So that government can now say, okay, we used to manage our activities in this way, but now we're going to manage it this way. And Nigerians, to the satisfaction of Nigerians anyway.
Also, the Minister of Budget and National Planning, Atiku Bagudu, in that press conference, talked to the young people, and he alluded to the international dimension of globalization and how we have to remember the historical facts of colonialism and imperialism and how they affect us. And he told the youth not to allow themselves to be used to undermine their country.
Did they recall this when they protested in 2012? Those who are saying, don't protest, don't do this, they were the protesters in 2012. Did they remember this? So where then lie the morality in trying to dissuade Nigerians from protesting? Is their fundamental right. Let them come out and protest. Let them exercise that right. But what I'm saying is, in the exercise of that right, that both sides must maintain stability and not, descend into violence. That will be where a whole lot of issues will arise. But if it is just to march in a civil procession and just make their point for however days they want to be able to do it, I don't see anything wrong with that.
But let's stay on what he said for a little bit. When he talks about undermining the country, some politicians also are part of the people that act as middlemen, whether they know that or not, to also destroy their own country.
No, but I don't think anybody willfully wakes up in the morning and then begin to think, well, how am I going to mess Nigeria up so that Nigeria doesn't function, so that we just destroy everything? When we destroy everything, where are we going to go? The only country we have is Nigeria. Imagine if we destroy everything, then we are destroying the whole entire West African state. Just in terms of people who will run to Ghana, who will run to Sierra Leone, who will run to many other countries within the West African coast, it would depress the economies of those places and destroy those places. So we only have Nigeria to work on. And by saying that, is that I don't believe that, like I said, people are saying, well, be patient, be patient. Patient for what? Nigerians they've lived it. And they're not saying we are no longer patient. But there are ways that they can express themselves in a very civil way that doesn't resort to violence. That is why I'm saying the person that has the onus more so is the government by showing restraint.
But you know, at most times, you know, counter protests are sponsored from the other side. So it's not that.
So who's going to sponsor in this wise now? Who's going to sponsor counter protests?
It's not that the protesters actually want to destroy the country. But let's move on. You gave up your 6-month salary. That's the lower house. Have you decided what specific projects that salary will be tied to?
No, it will be up to the leadership of the house. What we did was to say, well, to show solidarity with the suffering that a lot of Nigerians are facing, we should also demonstrate that we understand that suffering and that we feel it. And we cut our salary by 50%. Now, the utilization of that money will be up to my speaker and the leadership of the house. We've already agreed to allow that to go. So whatever they decide to do tomorrow with it, I'm sure it will be used judiciously.
Honorable Aguocha, thank you so much
for coming to the program. Thank you very much for having me.